Hi, my name is William Akins. I am the oboe professor here at CMU, Colorado Mesa University. What I'm going to be doing today is playing the all-state excerpts for the 21-22 school year. The committee has asked for two from the Rubank book. This is the Jaime Voxman Selected Studies for Oboe. We have page 13, which is a Fairlane excerpt, and then page 23. So I thought I'd talk to you guys today a little bit about some of the things that might trip us up in these. I'm going to start with page 13, which is the Fairlane. If you're in the Fairlane book, this is the fast E minor. Some things that trip us up with this right away from the very beginning is the articulation. It's very tempting to use a very short sort of tut. And if you say that word tut, you'll feel your tongue touches both on the front and back of the note, so that we end up with an articulation like, which makes our job harder. We end up tonguing twice as much without any benefit. So if we can think more of a ta sort of syllable with that, and think about what the air is doing all the way through those notes, that's going to help you all throughout this entire excerpt. As you get towards measure 5, you'll see we've got a high E, which is a tricky fingering if we're not used to it. We've got half hole 2 and 3 on the left hand, 2 and 3 on your right hand. We have the thumb octave key on the back, and either on the left or right, an E flat and A flat. And we don't want to mix those two. We want one or the other. I like left for this entire thing. You have it in measure 5, measure 12, measure 15. And a general rule on oboe is as we go higher, we need more reed in our mouth. So as I'm trying to negotiate that jump, this is measure 4. As I go up for that high E, I'm going for more reed in my mouth and then getting back out as I go down. And that helps me navigate those register changes. One last thought in this one is that we can add more dynamics than what are printed on the page. All he gives you is the forte at the top, and then off you go. It's somewhat fast and fiery. They haven't given you too fiery a tempo. Quarter note equals 92 is pretty reserved for this. But in measure 11, we can maybe pull down the dynamic a little bit, and that gives us some room to grow through measure 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then I can relax back again for 13 and start that sequence up. So the second excerpt that they've asked for is on page 23. It just says E flat major across the top. They're asking for about the first 18 measures at eighth note equals 80, which is a good andante tempo, not so fast that your 32nd notes in measure 17 are too tough. Some things that'll help with this. One, ignore the ornaments to start. In fact, if you don't even make it to those, that would be the least of your problems in this entire audition. In the second full measure, we have what looks like a squiggly S over top of that eighth note. That's a turn. That's a shorthand for a turn. It's telling us start on the main note of F, go up to the upper neighbor G, back to F, the main note, and then the natural that sits below that tells us we're not going to do the printed E flat in the key signature. We're going to use E natural before we return back to F. So we end up with that little ornament that gets plugged in there. That should go in last after you've figured out what the rhythm is otherwise supposed to be. Same thing for the trill in measure 18. You've got a trill and then 2 little grace notes. We call that a Nachschlage. We want to make sure we get the rhythm right first. That's your basic rhythm. Then we can add the Nachschlage. before we finally add in the trill that is on the main note. So that's how I tell my students to go through that. Strip everything away, make sure you're comfy with what the main rhythms are, then you can put on all the decoration. The other big thing is just getting a hold of what the subdivisions are. We look at 30-second notes and we freak out, we think, oh my, that's going to be really quick. But no, not so bad. The tempo's about right here, so we can just practice tonguing to that. So when we've gotten comfortable with those different subdivisions, then we can start to work through this piece. And the last bit of rhythmic difficulty that we'll run into is measures 10 and 11. We have to switch between duple and triple subdivisions. And again, single note will do it. I'm just on a B flat. It's a good reminder that slow excerpts still need a metronome. Get that out, set it to that 80 marking, practice going between those two, and I think that'll help you quite a bit with this etude. The last thought with this one is that yes, we have to have both regular F and forked F, or if you've got an intermediate to advanced model instrument, left F in different spots. Remember that when we're looking at the fingering for F, we're looking at what's around it. So measure 8 into 9, we can see that that F on the downbeat of 9 is preceded by a D and followed by an E flat. So we have to have a forked or a left F that you're going to use there. So make sure you go through and map all of those out. Thanks for listening. I hope this helps you with your preparation for your All-State audition.